Hello friends, welcome to our video. In today's video, we are going to explore about types of sentences type 1. We are from group 4, consisting of 4 people. My name is Helena Violenta, and my friends Aulia Novianti, Anjali Ilmi, and Kansa Wihikan Mahandani. We will talk about 4 types of sentences: simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound complex sentence.
Simple sentence. Simple sentence. A simple sentence is a basic sentence that has one independent clause. An independent clause is a group of words that has a subject, who or what the sentence is about, and a verb, what the subject is doing. It also expresses a complete thought and can stand alone. Key parts. 1. Subject. This is the person, animal, thing, or idea the sentence is about. 2. Predicate. This part tells us what the subject is doing. It includes the verb and sometimes more information. Features of simple sentence. 1. It has only one subject and one predicate. 2. It does not have any dependent or subordinate clauses. 3. It expresses a complete thought. Examples of simple sentence. 1. She sings. Subject, she. Predicate, sings. 2. The cat sleeps. Subject, the cat. Predicate, sleeps. 3. They play football every day. Subject, they. Predicate, play football every day. John and Mary walk in the park. Subject, John and Mary. Compound subject. Predicate, walk in the park. 5. I like ice cream. Subject, I. Predicate, like ice cream.
Next is compound sentence. A compound sentence consists of 2 or more independent clauses joined together. Each clause is of equal importance and could stand alone. There are 3 types of compound sentence. First is compound sentence with coordinators. A compound sentence can be formed using a coordinator. The structure is independent clause plus comma plus coordinator plus independent clause. Notice that there is a comma after the first independent clause. Remember, there are only 7 coordinators: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. For example, I wanted to go for a walk, but it started raining. There are 2 independent clauses in this sentence. First, I want to go for a walk, and it started raining. They are joined by the coordinator but, with a comma after the first clause. The second type is compound sentence with conjunctive adverbs. The independent clauses of a compound sentence can also be joined by a conjunctive adverb, such as furthermore, however, otherwise, and therefore. The punctuation for conjunctive adverbs is special. Use a semicolon after the first clause and a comma after the conjunctive adverb. A compound sentence can be formed with independent clause plus semicolon plus conjunctive adverb plus comma plus independent clause. And for the example, I was tired. However, I decided to finish my work. There are 2 independent clauses. First is I was tired and I decided to finish my work. They are joined by the conjunctive adverb, however, using a semicolon after the first clause and a comma after however. And the last type is compound sentences with semicolons. The independent clauses in a compound sentence may also be joined by a semicolon only. This structure is used when the 2 independent clauses are closely related. If they weren't closely related, They would be written as two simple sentences, separated by a period. For the example, she loves to read. Her brother prefers to play sports. There are two independent clauses in this sentence. First, she loves to read, and her brother prefers to play sports. They are joined using only a semicolon because the two clauses are closely related.
Okay, next, we're going to talk about complex sentences. Understanding complex sentences is very important because they help us express ideas in a more detailed and logical way. By the end of this presentation, we will understand how to identify, create, and use complex sentences correctly. What is a complex sentence? A complex sentence is a sentence that contains one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. This means it has one part that can stand alone as a complete sentence and another part that depends on it. The example is, although I was tired, I finished my homework. I finished my homework is an independent clause because it is a complete sentence. Although I was tired is a dependent clause because it cannot stand alone. It needs more information to make sense. So, in order for a sentence to be complex, it must have an independent clause and a dependent clause, connected by subordinating conjunction. Next, what is independent clause? An independent clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. This means it can stand alone as a sentence. The example is, she loves music. The subject is she, the verb is loves, and the complete meaning. So, I studied all night. The subject is I, the verb is studied, and the complete meaning. Since these sentences can stand alone, they are independent clause. Next, what is dependent clause? A dependent clause is also a group of words with a subject and a verb, but it does not express a complete thought. This means it cannot stand alone as a sentence. The examples is, although she loves music. That's an incomplete meaning. What happened next? So, because I studied all night. That's also incomplete meaning. What is the result? Where the result? These clauses depend on an independent clause to complete their meaning. That's why they are called dependent clauses. Next, what is subordinating conjunctions? Subordinating conjunctions are words that connect a dependent clause to an independent clause. They show relationships like cause and effect, contrast, or time. The examples is, I stayed home because I was sick. That because is cause and effect. Next, although it was raining, we went outside. Although is contrast. Next, I was sleeping when he called me. When is time.
Next, compound complex sentences. What is a compound complex sentences? A compound complex sentence is a sentence that consists of two or more independent clauses and at least one dependent clause. In other words, it combines the structure of a compound sentence and a complex sentence. Why is this important? Because using compound complex sentences allows us to create more varied and sophisticated sentences, making our writing or speech more structured and engaging. And next is characteristic. To easily identify compound complex sentences, here are some key characteristics. Contains at least two independent clauses, has at least one dependent clause, uses coordinating conjunction such as and, but, or, so, for, yet, nor to connect independent clauses. uses subordinating conjunction such as because, although, since, unless, etc. to introduce dependent clauses. By understanding this characteristic, we can recognize and use compound complex sentences more effectively in writing and speaking. Structure. There are several common patterns in compound complex sentences. 1. Independent clause plus independent clause plus dependent clause. 2. Dependent clause plus independent clause plus independent clause. 3. Independent clause plus dependent clause plus independent clause. This means that in one sentence, we have at least two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause providing additional information. And next is example sentences. Now, let's look at some examples. I want to go to the beach, but it started raining before we left, so we stayed home. There are two independent clauses. I want to go to the beach and it started raining. The dependent clause is before we left. Although she was tired, she finished her homework and she went to bed early. The dependent clause is although she was tired. The two independent clauses are she finished her homework and she went to bed early. My brother loves basketball and he plays every weekend even though he has a busy schedule. The two independent clauses are my brother loves basketball and he plays every weekend. The dependent clause is even though he has a busy schedule. As you can see, each example contains at least two independent clauses and one dependent clause. Maybe that's all from us. Thank you for watching.